Welcome in Deseret News Rewind. Dusty Litster and Dane Stewart, as always, presented by Heidemann Associates, brought to you by the Utah National Guard, and we're outfitted by Black Clover.
Yeah, Dusty, and look, you're all aware, New Year's right around the corner, and it means it's a perfect time for a brand new look, and you can get your brand new look at blackcloverusa.com. If you use the promo code DNR20, you'll get 20% off that new look. Men's gear, women's gear, polos, outerwear, hats, whatever you need, you can find it at blackcloverusa.com.
Well, folks, first of all, this video, we're excited to do it. We're a little sad to do it as well. If you've read and seen the information that's come out where there's been some decisions made of changes on Deseret News and live.ksl.com where streaming will be coming to an end, which also means the end of the road for us here at Deseret News Rewind. Now, as we go through this video, it's kind of more of a retrospective. We want to talk about some of the great moments we've had and want to give take an opportunity to tell people thank you for all the support that we received. We are not going anywhere. Dane Stewart and myself, Dusty Lister, will be going out to games still. Basketball coverage will still be going. There's still a lot of moving pieces to what's going on, but just rest assured that the Rewind guys aren't going anywhere. We love what we do. We enjoy it, and we'll keep going.
Yeah, we will. And as Dusty mentioned, there are going to be a few tweaks, right? We'll make certain that you all are aware of what those tweaks will look like, where you can find our stuff, streams, videos, whatever that might be. More information will be coming soon, but excited to be able to continue this. But as Dusty mentioned, kind of sad to see an era of Deseret News Rewind coming to a close.
Yeah, just give you our history. We were High School Rewind. We made the move to Deseret News. We decided we rebrand, be Deseret News Rewind, and we'll have news and information coming out as there are preliminary conversations where we can land, where we can do with this, and we're excited for the future. But we want to give thanks and say thank you to so many people. You know, Deseret News and Deseret Digital Media. You know, first of all, most people need to know we were on TV before we came here, and we want to be on a digital platform. And there are people that had no plan. But took us in and took a shot on us and allowed us to come in and start to grow what we were doing. So to take a minute to thank guys like Burke Olson here at Deseret News for all of his support and what he was able to give us, Aaron Morton, Brandon Judd, Ryan McDonald, and countless others that without them, what we do doesn't get out. But without Burke taking a chance on us, this never would have happened, Dean.
Yeah, and I mean, Dusty, you talked a little bit about, you know, the desire to move to digital and an opportunity to explore a new area with Deseret News, and has been an absolute blast of a ride. And you mentioned some of the names there. You think of all the writers that we've gotten to know over the years there as well. Guys like Brandon Gurney, as well as James Edward, and all of their help and assistance been great to be able to interact with them, rub shoulders with them, and you know, our thanks to Deseret News and for taking that chance on us. And, you know, we've had some sponsors as well that have come in and given that same trust over the years. And it's been a privilege to be able to work with and support each of them as well.
Well, absolutely. Thinking some of those, you know, Jess Gomez with Tosh and Justin Heidemann, you know, he doesn't even ask twice. He wants to jump in and be a part of what we're doing. The Utah Army National Guard and how that all came about was so much fun. And Riley Jensen is a former coach that believed in what we were doing. Mount West Elite, he brought them on a couple times as well throughout the years. So Delicious was one that was an early partner too. So, and we're outfitted by Black Clover. There were so many people that supported us, but then you think of the parents, and I think, Dane, for us, I think what's been a blast with what we've done here at Deseret News Rewind, it's not just the kids, it's been the parents too. There's so many parents, grandparents, friends that we've actually been able to make new friends, and that's been one of my absolute favorite things.
It has been, Dusty, and in some cases we've even had a growth of family members. You think of my little brother, Saxton Morby, and the opportunity to have milk and cookies with Saxton after games and to be able to interact with his dad and see, you know, Saxton grow up in his life and have major life events, be able to see him participate in some of those. And that's been the case at a lot of different programs for a lot of different players, a lot of different parents. And, you know, we rely on a lot of those to help us have better perspectives and understanding behind what's going on and be able to help share that with you so that we all are able to cover this state, the many different types of sports, players, teams, storylines that go into each of our athletes and each of our teams over the course of a year. We couldn't have done it without you, your viewership, your support, and your interaction with each of us. And it's a really long list of great, you know, supporters, parents, players that we've been able to interact with, get to know, and some long-lasting and lifelong friendships I know in my life that have been built over these last couple of years.
No, absolutely. And I think, it's funny you bring up Saxon Morgan, but the Fremont basketball community in general, I kind of pulled this in, right? We have, the Voorhees family willing to accept the masked man nickname. And we learned about that in the halls. One day, baby Detmer, my son, is going to be wearing his baby Yoda outfit that came from the halls, Dallin Hall's family. And it was so exciting. And it's those things that we really enjoy. And I think, when I look back at what we've been able to accomplish, one of my favorite things we were doing before COVID is the winner of our game of the week. We'd go and interview those players. And it's some of those fun moments we had getting to know players. It's doing the award show. Those videos just came out. It's getting to sit down and to say, hey, we sat down with Zach Wilson when Zach Wilson was just a kid hoping to get a starting opportunity at BYU. And now he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, most likely first round pick. And say, hey, we had awesome moments to be able to meet him and his family and make relationships there. And it's so many guys like that. And now this year to have that. But those so delicious moments of the weeks, or any moment of the week we did, when we went and sat down with those kids, those coaches, those are memories that last a lot longer than the video.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you think of a story that was again in the news this year, Mason Wake, and an act that he did his senior year at Lone Peak, and we were able to share that story. You talk a little bit about Zach Wilson and getting to know him. I think of the times we were able to go out to Murray. They won a playoff game and got to talk to some of the youngsters there, or to go highlight some of these programs. Cypress football a couple of years ago, Parker Meldrum, as they were building things, and some of the chances we had to go and cover schools that don't get a lot of coverage, right? Might not be the headliners, might not be the ones winning back-to-back or 4-time state championships, but an opportunity to go and get to know youngsters and young men and get to share their stories and give them some airtime and some coverage of moments that they were able to have over the course of their high school career that they may never have again, playing collegiate or professional, and being able to really highlight those opportunities, those plays. Think of our top 5 plays. We had young men breaking the backboards on dunks in the state and setting school records and state records around made 3-point shots and just all sorts of different things. You think of, we had a 3,000-yard rusher, just so many incredible performances over the years that we've been able to help share and bring to you in a way that, frankly, no other state really covers. And it's been an absolute privilege and joy to be able to highlight that for each of the athletes here in the state.
It's interesting you bring that up. And one of the reasons we want to go to Deseret News was the opportunity to cover the state tournaments. And when I think of these state tournaments and things we're able to do, it's the Skyridge Corner Canyon semifinal game and the way that game ended, and being a part of that. It's being at the Olympus Springville State Championship basketball game, which was it's the greatest high school championship game I've ever been a part of. And it was all part of why we came to Deseret News. And it's why we came after it. Not only that, it was a platform that we knew that we could grow on, and and it pushed us. Deseret News Rewind Live is a program that we created, and it was only possible by being on this platform and being able to show the entire state's football teams and give you a Sunday experience with the Red Zone channel on Friday night. Does not happen without this opportunity. And so, but again, just going to give things. So before we wrap these things up, let's go a little questions. Dane and I are going to ask Chubb a couple questions. And I'll let you go first, Dane, because I always ask you questions and keep you on your toes. Now it's your turn.
All right. Well, Dusty, I'm going to start one off with one kind of general. Give me your favorite moment in our coverage over the years.
Well, here at Deseret News Rewind, honestly, it was about a month ago. It wasn't even at a game. It was what we talk about, the differences. I received a message from a mother. I had shared things going on in my personal life with my mom, and I received a message on a very pivotal day from a mom. It was a girls' soccer mom that had reached out to thank me for the way that we had covered her daughters and talked about the state championship game. And she talked about how we made them feel like it was their Super Bowl. And it was something that to me it's the epitome of what we try to do. Some people can believe it, some people can't, but we really do care, and we really want these kids to have terrific memories and be a part of that and provide something they go back and look at. And she talked about how they rewatch it and how proud they are. And that, to me, that was one of my favorite moments. And it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with that we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. And that this mom had reached out to share that. That was something that will always be with me. I mean, that message is going to be saved forever. But that was certainly there. Dane, let's see. Dane, your favorite moment you called while we've been here at Deseret News Rewind?
Oh man, that is tough. There are a couple I could go with, Dusty, but I'm going to go a little off script here. So I don't know if I think people know this. We get along. We're friends. Like we spend time outside the show. Like we've known each other for a long time. Some of my favorite calling memories though are the times where you absolutely lose it and you just hear Dusty just go silent. And what you all don't get to see is what I get to see, and it's him bent over with his hand usually in his face, just uncontrollably speechless. And if I had to call one, I'd probably go the bloody nose one in the girls' state tournament.
Watch this.
And that'll do it.
Watch this. Who would have ever known that those words could strike the response that they did? But that those have probably been some of my favorite ones. And just because it's a chance for me to get to see you, who's usually so put together and professional, just so contrary to that, and it's just such a unique perspective. It's really fun for me to see.
One of the moments we talked about too, and we bring it up, the now governor-elect Spencer Cox coming on and doing not just 1 or 2 games. I mean, I think we did 4 games with Spencer, and then also a football game too. That kind of showed the reach that we were getting, that the lieutenant governor of the state was wanting to come on and willing to come on and do a video with us. He did games with us, and a relationship that we actually still carry on, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty, I was at Skyridge a couple of weeks ago, and I had someone at Skyridge come up and be like, "Do you remember when now Governor Cox came and did a game here?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I do. Got a picture on my wall. Got the box score, my little stat sheet all filled out." And they just said, "Man, that was so cool." It's like, yeah, it was. And this has given us a great opportunity to be able to interact with people that otherwise we wouldn't have had to. And a lot of props to Spencer Cox and for his willingness to take a DM on Twitter, right? To be willing to come out and to do something like that. And his schedule certainly isn't easy to fit that in, but something that he was willing to do and happy to do. And it was a blast to be able to interact with him, get to know him better, and to be able to have him come in and share some insights over streams and over a video.
No, absolute blast. All right, one more question each. You can go first.
I'm going to let you go first, Dusty. I got to think of a really good one.
Okay. Let's see. 2 players that you brag about that we covered.
Ooh, let's see. That's a good one. So I do talk a lot about Jalen Warren, the now Oklahoma State Cowboy. Had a kid, Jalen. Just because of it's still so frustrating for me to think about his recruiting experience. My goodness. But he was a young man that we both saw, we both knew, regardless of what all the experts said, that this young man could play the sport and could make an impact, and excited for him to go and tear up the Big 12. So there is one. The one I was thinking of was Frank Jackson. But you did a lot of those lone games, right? When we were just doing single man crews. And so I think I only called 1 or 2 of his games. But I still called 1 or 2, right? We still talked about him. So Frank Jackson. There you go.
Your favorite, the Kobe McEwen versus Frank Jackson game at Wasatch Academy.
Yeah. Yep. That was a great game. Frank was sick that game and still led Lone Peak to a victory on the road. And that was one that made one coach sick. Just the way that game ended. It was also the big coming out party of Stephen Ashworth, who, if anyone has watched this show, knows I'm a big Stephen Ashworth guy, and can't wait for his career to unfold at the Utah State University.
That's good. All right, so I'll give you my 2 because I want people to wonder, right? So I'll go Frank Jackson is one, and obviously Zach Wilson is going to be there and still is, but that's for obvious reasons. But the other fun one is Britton Covey, because I always bragged. I did his first start in high school, and I did his last start in high school. Granted, that was 3 children ago, but that's how long this has been. But it's been awesome to, Britton Covey's on there too. I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but those are probably the 2 that I love bringing up.
What's been your favorite story that we've covered? This could be, a team, an upset, something off the field. What's been your favorite story? The one that I got probably the most involved in, and probably made the most emotional, and it's probably a little bit of recency bias, but not really.
is Tia Stokes, because of what it meant to that team, and where it ended up falling in my life. Right, it's one of those things where I talk about my mom and ALS, and we lost her so quickly, and to see what Coach Stokes went through and what it's done to that football program and how it's pulled them together, and watch just a group of people come together has been probably one of the things I'll always remember. When we were so moved by Dane and I went and participated, and we showed those jerseys. We get involved in lots of things, but that's one that will always stick there. The other one will be Matt Barnes going to the locker room after that Springville Olympus game. And we had known Coach Barnes, and I don't think anything had changed. We'd covered him for so many years. But that's the other one. When Coach Barnes went to the locker room and congratulated Springville on beating Olympus, that's one of those moments that is etched in my mind. What about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Coach Barnes one was the one that came to my mind immediately. It's just not often that you see a losing coach in a state championship game, an overtime state championship game, a team that was heavily favored, go and have that kind of a response after losing. And, so that was one that, we've always loved Coach Barnes, but that was one where my respect for him just grew immensely. And I always tease with Olympus that East is going to beat them. I've got some assistant coaches on that staff who are probably rolling their eyes right now. That's a multi-year history story there. But, that was one where my respect for Coach Barnes, which was already high, really just flew off the chart, because you don't see that. The other story for me that always stands out in my mind was one that we alluded to a little earlier, and it was the Mason Wake story. And, that came to light a little more again here in 2020. But a young man who, had a friend that he's known for a long time and was able to make a real special night for her, and was able to do something that a lot of other people in his shoes maybe wouldn't have, or wouldn't have thought to, or wouldn't have had the courage to. And, the yacht from old Lone Peak, a young man who made impact on the field and now make an impact in college, but continues to make an impact off the field. And that was one thing that, a guy who doesn't seek a lot of credit, isn't one to be real boastful and point at himself, likes to kind of doesn't flaunt that sort of thing, and was excited that we were able to show that, to help people, really get to know who Mason was and is, and to be able to see him continue to do those things. That's one that has always stood out in my mind, and I continue to remember and reflect on as I make decisions in my life.
No, that's a great one too. But, again, as we close this up, it's been so much fun to be here at Deseret News. And again, I want to reiterate, we're not going to go anywhere. There are good things coming, and it might take us a little bit of time. So we might go dark for maybe a week or 2 weeks, but we will be covering the state of Utah and all the high school sports, and covering these athletes. And we'll have a home. It's a success that has come because of the viewers that allows us, the confidence that we know that something's going to work out, and we'll be back and be able to cover these kids the way we've been covering them, and maybe even a little bit better as well. But again, as we wrap up today in this video, it's just gratitude. It's sad, it's bittersweet. Business is business, but again, want to thank guys again, Burke Olson, Aaron Schill, who decision makers that helped bring us on. I got also Thompson Coles and Ryan Rasta, but Thompson's the one that introduced us, and most people didn't know that, and he ran all the stuff in the background. And if he doesn't introduce us, and we don't get that, this doesn't happen. But it's guys like Aaron Morton and Brandon Judd, Ryan McDonald, and so many, James Edward, and Amy Donaldson, so many others that helped us along the way. That this means so much. But again, our gratitude is to you, the viewer and the fan. But we will be out there, so please keep following us on Twitter. Our D News Rewind Twitter handle will be changing. We'll have that out soon. But then you can always hit us up at Dusty Litster, at Dane _Stewart on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. But again, we're not going anywhere. We're just transitioning. It'll be a new face or a new look and everything else. But it'll be great things on the horizon. But we want to take time to give thanks and take a moment to thank everyone who's helped us out. But for Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for watching Deseret News Rewind on Deseret.com.